What's up, YouTube? This is me, Asian Dave, aka Fanatical for Jesus, aka Dog Way, aka David Chu. I'm just coming to you real quick. I want to talk about this debate that I just got done watching. It's between David Wood and Matt Dillihunty. I will admit that I missed the beginning portion of the debate because I had an important phone call I had to take. But I watched most of it, and from my own honest opinion, I believe Matt Dillihunty got his ass whooped by David Wood. Matt Dillihunty, he didn't really make any solid points. Like, he just made the same argument that he makes over and over all the time. With no, like, he just makes a lot of assertions with no actual demonstration of his assertions. Just like every other atheist out there, every other atheist that makes the same assertions. When you press them about morality and how they know what's right and wrong, they say the same stuff over and over again. They say, well, we know what's right because of our own subjective feeling of what's right. And, like, thankfully, we live in a society that also agrees with us on what's right. Like, um, they, yeah, they talk about, oh, that's what we believe. That's how we know right and wrong because we decide um, how we would want to be treated, and we decide to treat other people the way that we want to be treated. And then he even throws in there empathy and the survive. Like, we also believe what is right is what helps the species to helps human beings to survive. And the thing is, these are all assertions. Like, why? I would like an atheist to answer this question. Why is it indeed good for human beings to survive? Like, who came up with this idea? Like like that it's good for human beings to survive. It's good for human beings to do what to feel empathy for other. Who decided that empathy was indeed good? Like, where do you get this idea of objective morality saying that empathy is good without appealing to objective morality? Like, either empathy is good or it's not good. You can't you can't say, oh, there's no objective morality, but we should all believe in empathy. Like, that's just ridiculous. You can't just believe in empathy without explaining how that is objectively good. But if you want to explain something, but if you want to explain how it's objectively good, then don't deny that there's actual objective goodness. This is the absurdity of atheism. They say that there's no objective goodness, but yet they want us to hold on to these certain ideas that are objectively good outside of a world or inside of a worldview that says there's no objective goodness. Like, so Matt Dillon like he got owned big time in this debate, and David Wood, he had his work cut out for him. Like, he had an easy debate, but like 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 there was a part in there where Matt Dillahunty clearly said that the universe doesn't morally obligate us to do anything. But then he turned around and said the universe morally obligates us to do things. And David Wood, it was funny when he caught on to that. He actually pointed that out. He was like, "Well, you just said the universe doesn't morally obligate us to do anything." And Matt Dillahunty did like a little shake, rattle, and roll move to try to like dance out of the way. But like, he got exposed. He really got exposed. And like, it was just humiliating for Matt Dillahunty. Like, it was sad. Like, I mean, it just shows you that Romans chapter 1 is indeed true, where it says all men know that God exists, and he has made himself known in ways that we are without excuse to not worship him. So Matt Dillahunty like clearly knows God exists, but he just wants to deny that God exists because he doesn't like the idea of not being able to live the way he wants to live in his sin. So he works so hard to try and disprove God's existence, and he he just he just he and like his worldview is reduced to absurdity. Like, he says insane things like, oh, there's no moral absolutes. Well, then at the same time, talking about we should all strive towards specific moral absolute. We should all strive to be empathetic. We should all strive to want to secure the survival rate of humanity. Like, why are those things good? I would love for an atheist to explain to me how they objectively know that that the survival rate of humanity is good, or how empathy is good. Like if any atheist out there, please show me how you know that empathy is indeed a good thing. Like I'll bet you like like a whole bunch of money, like to prove that you cannot logically justify how you know something to be morally right without appealing to an objective moral standard. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous to even try to establish how you know something to be objectively right without appealing to an objective moral standard. It's just ridiculous. Then there was a part in there where Matt Dillihunty brought up the fact that David Wood, back when he was, and I knew he was going to bring this up because yesterday when me and my girlfriend were watching the Atheist Experience, someone asked him about David Wood, and he brought this up last night, like, or yesterday. I knew he was going to bring it up again today in the debate. But yeah, he brought up the fact that when David Wood used to be an atheist, he was a psychopath who busted his stepdad or his dad over the head with a hammer. And like, he brought that up as a way. I don't know what his intention was to bring that up, but it had nothing to do with the debate. But I mean, regardless, according to Matt Dillihunty's logic and worldview, what is really wrong with bashing someone's head over, or what's objectively wrong with bashing someone's head with a hammer? Like, Matt Dillihunty cannot even begin to explain why it's wrong from his worldview to bash someone over the head with a hammer. Like, I mean, what's wrong with Stardust colliding with Stardust? Like, that's all it is. I mean, from the atheistic model, like, um, we're just all Stardust. So David Wood bashing his stepdad over the head with a hammer is just Stardust colliding with Stardust. And like, so what's inherently wrong with that? Like, why don't more people go around and bash other people over the head with a hammer? Like, if atheism is true and there's survival of the fittest, then I think more people should go around bashing other people over the head with a hammer. Like, I mean, like, atheism has no grounding from morality. Like, it was once said that if God doesn't exist, then everything is permissible. I forgot who said that, but it's a very good quote. If God doesn't exist, then everything is permissible. And like, what else? Then David Wood made an excellent point in the debate where he said that atheism ultimately leads to fatalism or nihilism. Because from an atheistic worldview, we're born and we live our lives and then we die and we go extinct. Like, that our ultimate destination is extinction. And like, Matt Dillihunty took offense to that. So you're skipping over the most important parts. Oh, wow. You're skipping over the most important parts. Why are they so freaking important? Like, according to your worldview, there is nothing that's quote important. According to the atheistic model, there can be no intrinsic value in anything. So therefore, there's nothing that's important according to the atheistic worldview. Like, you can't say, oh, my relationships with my friends or my family or my parents or my whoever. Like, you can't say that those relationships actually truly mean anything from an atheistic perspective, because they don't mean anything from an atheistic perspective. We're just all stardust leading towards extinction. So to say that he's glossing over the most important parts, he's all he's doing is pointing out that where atheism starts and where it ends up. That's all he was doing, was talking about atheism starts here and it ends here, and that where it ends is extinction. So it doesn't it doesn't ultimately matter how you live your life as an atheist. Like you could live your life as a crazy serial killer that goes around lopping people's heads off, or you could live your life as Mother Teresa, and it ultimately does not matter at all. Like it really doesn't. So that's the crazy thing about atheists. Like they want their cake and they want to be able to eat it too. Like you can't say on the one hand that there's no objective moral standards because there's no God, and then on the other hand say that there's objective moral standards that we all need to live by to make a better life for ourselves and other people. You can't have it both ways. Either there's a God that establishes that there's objective moral standards, or there's no God that doesn't establish objective moral standards, and therefore you can all live however way you want to live. Like I'll say this a million times. Like you want to bring up the survival of the human species as being an important thing to aim towards, but why? Why should we as a human race want to survive? Why should we have empathy towards other people? Why should we like love other people from an atheistic worldview? Like it just doesn't make any sense. And that's why I feel like this debate was probably over before it began, because David Wood, as a Christian, has a logical foundation for why we should live as moral agents, whereas Matt Dillihunty, as an atheist, had no logical foundation as to why we should be moral agents. The difference is Matt Dillihunty is living inconsistently with his worldview. Like he, as an atheist, he still wants to live a moral life for whatever reason he has, but it's inconsistent with his worldview. David Wood is living consistently with his worldview, like he explained later on in the debate when he said that as a Christian, he wants to, he's commanded to love people, and he's commanded to love people as himself, and he's commanded to do good to his fellow neighbor. Like, and that leads to another topic. Like, Matt Dillihunty, I knew he was going to bring this up before he did. Like, he brought up, oh, well, what about the Mennonites? Weren't they made in God's image? But the thing is, I thought David Wood's answer was good. I wish he would have elaborated. He did elaborate on it later on in the Q&A section. But he said, like, there's two different covenants. Like, there's the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. We as Christians don't live in the Old Covenant. In the Old Covenant was set up with the Israelites for a specific time, specific purpose, in a specific place. So, like, and the consequences of disobeying or breaking the covenant was death. But there was also an immense blessing for keeping the Old Covenant. So, like, yes, during the Old Covenant days, like, yeah, God said to wipe out, like, the Midianites, because they're a rebellious nation, and that they should be wiped out. And so God commanded that, and it was a morally good thing at the time. And the thing is, like David Wood said, God could like wipe out all of humanity, and he would still be just, holy, and good and loving. God could wipe us all out. Like, but the fact that he chooses to save some, is an amazing thing. Is an amazing action on his part. The fact that he chooses to save some. He doesn't have to save anybody. He could wipe us all out and destroy us all, and he would still be holy, just, good, and loving. Like, so, like, but we don't live in the Old Covenant anymore. We live in the New Covenant, and in the New Covenant, we're commanded to treat our neighbor as ourselves. We're commanded to look out for the good of other people, and And the reason why is because we know human beings are made in God's image, and because human beings are made in God's image, we treat other people the way we want to be treated, and we love other people because we love God. So that's why um, that's our moral foundation for why we treat other people good and we're respectful to other people and we love other people. Atheists, they have no such incentive to treat other people morally right. Because in an atheistic worldview, it's all about survival of the fittest, and it's about might makes right, and it's about um, yeah, it's just there's nothing moral about atheism. From an atheistic perspective, if I wanted to go out and kill people, that's my right. I should why should I care about what other people think or say? If I want to go out there and kill other people and just do a drive-by shooting on a bunch of people, that should be, I mean, from an atheistic perspective, that's okay. They can't tell me that an atheist cannot tell me that I'm morally wrong for wanting to kill other people. Because according to atheism, anything goes. Like that quote says, if God doesn't exist, everything is permissible. And that means someone can sit there and go around killing other people, or like David Wood gave the example of people in the mental hospital. I've seen this before in the mental hospital, where someone can stare at you in the mental hospital, and you don't know what's going on in their head. They could be thinking I've been in that situation where I've been sitting across a table from someone. He'd be looking at me, and like he's thinking to himself what it would look like if he slit my throat and watched the color disappear from my face. Someone like that, from an atheistic perspective, they cannot say that he's morally wrong for wanting to slit my throat. Now, from a Christian perspective, I could say that that's morally wrong because that's killing someone who's made in the image of God. And Matt Dillihunty tried to say, oh, well, why should we care about people that are made in the image of God? Because when you're made in the image of God, you have intrinsic value. You have intrinsic value. Haven't you ever heard the saying the sanctity of human life? That's why we're against abortion, because abortion is murdering an innocent life. It's murdering a life that's made in the image of God. That's why murder is wrong from a Christian perspective. Now, from an atheistic perspective, atheists have no moral justification for why murder or abortion or anything is wrong. Either you have morality coming from God, or you have morality coming from ourselves. If morality comes from God, then it's unchangeable and it's objective. But if morality comes from ourselves, then it's changeable and it's subjective. And you could say, well, it is subjective, but if we live in a society that all agrees with us that these certain things are wrong, then that is wrong. And it's okay, so what if I lived in a society that everyone in the society said that it's right to rape and murder? Or at least, no, not even murder. I don't want to go there. But what if I lived in a society where everybody in society said it's right to rape people? You could say, well, that society won't flourish. That doesn't matter. Who says that? Again, who says that the flourishing of humanity is indeed a good thing? You cannot explain how you get morality from an atheistic objection or atheistic position. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, the video was alright. I'm gonna post the debate in the description box below so you guys can watch it for yourself. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I would like to really have a discussion about this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Alright, have a good day. God bless you, and deuces.